I like to think of it as outsourcing is kind of like dating, whereas actually hiring an in-house support player is like moving in together.
Yes.
So you really need to understand what relationship you're wanting to get into.
We're your hosts, Sahara Embry
and Michaela Bedoyan. From working corporate 9-to-5s to running $1 million companies,
we're bringing you the inside scoop of what it takes to start and scale your business.
We're keeping things real, raw, and unfiltered.
This is the Rise and Refine podcast. Happy Monday. Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Rise and Refine podcast. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we have a exciting one today in the sense of for all of you business owners determining right now whether you're ready to hire or contract out the work. And we have several examples we both can use within our own businesses to kind of walk you guys through the difference between if you're ready to hire a full-time employee for something or what that looks like to contract out work. We've contracted out work within all companies for several different positions, and then some of those positions led to full-time employees. Some of them were still contracting out work too. So we kind of want to take you guys through the steps of deciding when's the right time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, not every task needs an actual W-2 employee, and then there's certain tasks where you don't need a revolving door of freelancers. So understanding the difference between the two and knowing exactly when. Not exactly when. I feel like you're not always going to be able to pinpoint it.
Yeah.
But understanding what it looks like to outsource when you should and what it looks like to actually hire and the steps that it takes. Yeah.
So let's go through the difference of both. So obviously hiring within, if you've done that before, full-time employee, my favorite thing, the pros and cons about it is obviously the pro, you can kind of get them to match your policies and the way you function, and it's more custom to the way your business operates. And they're with you, 8 to 5, whatever their schedule is, they're full time. It's a chance for them to grow within the company. Usually they do a better job of knowing more about the company because they're involved.
They're a little bit more bought in.
Yes, they're definitely a lot more.
They should be more bought in.
Hopefully, if you hired good. So you've got them, and I would say they're also typically able to handle a little bit more just because they have the time. You're in the sense their only client because they work for you, and so
there's an expectation set there too.
Yes,
that can't necessarily be set with
contracting out work because you can hold your employee accountable, right? A lot of times when you're contracting out and outsourcing work, you don't really get to tell them when to show up, when to get something done. They really set those boundaries with you if they're good at it.
Yeah.
But the con to having an employee is obviously the cost. You might not be ready. Like if you're wanting a social media manager and the average salary is probably around $60,000 nowadays.
Yeah.
Depending on obviously what city you live in plays a huge role.
I was going to say that's probably on the downside, especially for Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially for Atlanta.
Yes.
But it depends on where you live. But let's say like you've got $60,000 for full-time social media, and that comes to with experience in terms of like salary. Like that's a big cost. Are you actually ready? Do you have the workload for somebody versus outsourcing and contracting work? Do you want to explain that one? Because you just went through it with Refined.
Yeah. So outsourcing is you kind of need something that's maybe more short-term or specialized support within a area of your business, or you're testing a new idea or service, and then maybe you just can't afford to fully onboard a new team member at the moment. So with Refine specifically, we came to the realization, I knew it about 2 months before I actually took action on it, but that we needed help with our social media, that I needed an extra set of hands to run our Instagram account for Refined. And so started interviewing multiple different social media managers, or those that said they were social media managers. Social media management in and of itself, everybody thinks that they can do it nowadays, which is great to a certain extent. But when you are actually very serious about growing your business, you have to kind of weed through the noise. And so we had quite a few applications, probably like 30 to 40 who were interested in working with us. After that, I took 12 interviews after reviewing the applications, took 12 interviews, and it became very clear who we could actually see ourselves, one, working with in a partnership style And then 2, who could actually do the job well? They knew what they were talking about. They knew the analytics side of Instagram. They understood the algorithm, how it moved, how it shifted, how you need to adjust inbound and outbound
what you were
marketing.
missing within your strategy. Like when you outsource and contract out work, like we'll use social media, but all social media managers offer something different. It's a good one to start contracting out work with and outsourcing some work, but they all offer something different. If you need someone who's heavier on the graphic designs or heavier with the algorithm or heavier with just posting a lot.
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
like you have
just
to figure out,
out.
what is it you want? And when you're outsourcing, you need to ask them those questions. What do they provide? What's their cost? What are their expectations to make sure it's a good match? So it is kind of like you're interviewing, but they don't work for you. So you don't have as much say. You can't be like, well, I want you to do this, this, and this. They'll kind of tell you what they offer and you figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so we ended up hiring Harbor 26, and it became very clear after a conversation with their owner, Jessica, that she knew what she was talking about when it came to the back end analytics, the numbers, the data side of Instagram specifically, because that's what we're using them for, which are all things that I didn't necessarily think through when we were thinking about the position. I needed somebody, I knew that I had a ton of content within my own camera roll, and I needed somebody to extract that, edit it, make it into usable content. We ended up paying a little bit more for them because of how much they knew on the back end. And so that was something that we didn't necessarily account for up front, but I'm glad that we're making the investment because we're already seeing how much of an impact just with the social strategy that they just presented to us on how much it's going to radically change just how we present ourselves moving forward.
And we don't need somebody full-time right now.
No.
We just need somebody. We know we want to post at least 3 times a week, and we need someone looking at our algorithm and growing not necessarily our audience, but those reaching out that are already within our audience.
An expert that can also teach us what we're supposed to be looking for.
Exactly.
Because that's not my area of expertise. And I know that. And I know that is a weak point for both of us.
Yes.
Because we're not in the social media world, Instagram world, algorithm, like that's meta. It's not our thing. So knowing that we needed to outsource to an industry expert who knew what they were doing, who knows what they're talking about, who has the connections. If they're not able to figure something out right then, they know where to go to get that answer for us. Yeah. That was so important for us.
Well, it's also the same thing. It's like we didn't need someone who was better at graphics or better at creating content than we were, because Michaela's great at creating content.
I mean,
like she said,
it's my role.
So she's already good at that. We needed someone who could challenge us in a new way with Instagram and know more than we did. So anyways, when it comes to like hiring in-house versus outsourcing, contracting out work, we've done a few times. Sometimes I've had this with some employees where we start out part-time, contracting out some hourly work to them just to help get by. Yeah. And then it turns into a full-time position. We've done that too. Sometimes that works depending on person you hire. They're like, I just want part-time hours right now. Like maybe they're a mom or they've got a lot going on. They don't want to commit full time, maybe later on. And it helps you because you don't have enough full time work. I've done this a few times. It's like, okay, here's some part time work. And then it grows into a full time role. Or by the time it grows into a full time role, you can hire someone else.
Most
so
definitely.
There's so many ways to do it. But if hire in house when you need long term support, somebody on the ground with you that you need, somebody you can hold accountable, have boundaries with, who can be in the company, help you grow the company. When they've got enough workload, when they've got day-to-day tasks, they know their role, you've got a fully built out KPI, and you need somebody who's within your business. And you want somebody who's really invested within the company and you feel like it's going to grow. I feel like a lot of people don't want to hire because they see an employee as, oh, this cost me $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
That employee who costs you $60,000 a year, maybe they'll bring in $120,000 of profit, So you have to kind of look at your employees as they are going to help my business grow, not hold my business back.
Yeah. As a value add.
Yes. And if you're not ready to make that commitment and you don't see it as a value add, then just contract at work. Like dip your toes in, go with somebody part-time. It's less expensive. It gives you time.
I like to think of it as outsourcing is kind of like dating, whereas actually hiring an in-house support player is like moving in together. Yes. So you really need to understand what relationship you're wanting to get into.
Yeah, it's a commitment when you hire somebody, right? And it's a commitment when you contract at work. A lot of these contractors, freelancers, they do have like 6-month contract to 12-month contract. Yeah. So you can't just treat them like, oh, I'm just going to use you for the next week. Like you do have to commit to that as well. But it does help a lot of business owners. I love it when people do contract out work because it can help you as a business owner. Like what we're paying for her is not the full-time salary of what we would have to pay for someone in-house.
Yes.
And that helps us be able to get by till we're ready to make that investment one day.
But we also do understand that for her bringing in one additional client or her team bringing in one additional client every single month
pays
more than pays for her services.
Yes, exactly. So when you want to outsource, it's really somebody who you need short term. It's not like a long term they're going to work with your company unless you do what I've done, which is find somebody part-time and then grow that role into full-time. You're testing like a new service. Like you don't necessarily know if you need a social media manager one day, if you're going to do social media, but you want to test it out, see how it affects your business and if it's a good thing or bad thing. So you don't want to make the full commitment or investment yet. And bottom line is if you're a small business and you're growing and you've got a little bit of extra money to spend that could maybe make you more money and profit, but you're not ready to invest full time, it can just save you a lot of money to contract out work with the right people. So like Michaela said, outsourcing is kind of like dating and helps get you by. And there's a lot of options. But just like when you hire someone full time, like Michaela did, you did so many interviews. You have to interview and figure out the right fit for your company and make sure like there's a lot of trust within that person because they don't work most likely in your city.
Right. Well, and I mean, with our social media, like you're handing over your entire social media account to that person and you're trusting that person to steward well all of the relationships on there, the community that you've built to help grow your business, to bring in those leads. I know we kind of account for, 3 solid social media leads a month to come in just from Instagram. So we're looking to obviously raise that with bringing on this social media team. But you're trusting somebody, you're putting that in somebody else's hands and you're trusting your business to them.
Yeah.
And so understanding that person, one, needs to be a good fit. You'll have to be able to communicate and understand that or look at their processes and their systems of what they have set up for you and kind of like the client portal that they have for you. And it's like, okay, does this work for me? Is this the way that my brain works? How much time is this actually going to take?
Yeah.
Because I underestimated how much time I would need to on the front end get everything ready for them to actually build all of our content.
Yeah, 100%. So it's not also just about like what you pay for full-time. Like if you're considered full-time, remember, it's not just about what you pay, it's what you get back if you hire the right person. And if you're going to hire someone full-time in-house, please take your time with the interview process, right?
Yeah.
Because what actually costs you even more money when you hire somebody full-time is when you have to constantly fire and find somebody new, right? It takes a lot more investment, I would say, up front too, when you hire someone full-time, because you have to train them on your company, your systems, your processes, and who you are. And you have to really help train them, especially with a new position. You guys are figuring it out together. Whereas someone who's contracting out work, they already know the processes and systems that they use for their own business. So if that can flow.
They're working to duplicate it for multiple people.
Yes.
And so they have that set in stone already.
Yes.
Obviously open to tweaks, and it's varies sometimes by client, but you don't have as much say in that. So I know Venture Haven just hired a additional team member, but that took you about 4 months to actually go through that interview process.
To find Joe.
Yeah.
How long did it take? I would say it took 2 months, but the person before, or you're probably talking about Julia. We just hired somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Julia, it took 4 to 6 months, a long time.
So those are 2 people that they just hired in-house for Venture Haven, which is a property management company, and they're differing times. So 2 months for one person, but it took 4 months to 6 months to find the other individual.
Yeah.
And so understand that like, if it does take longer, it's not a bad thing. You want to make sure that you're making the right choice.
Yes. Because when we hire someone, we look at them as long-term. Becoming part of our family. Yes, we're cringy like that.
Yeah.
We are we're investing in you, right? We're not just like, come on, if you leave in a couple weeks, we're good. It costs so much time, effort. My team members, they're taking time They're taking time out of their day to then interview and look at resumes and meet with people and train them. We don't want to keep starting over.
No.
And so it's very important when you hire full-time to not rush into the decision. So maybe you want to contract out work for 3 months, do a 3-month contract to give yourself time to hire and to learn a little bit, but also realize that when you're outsourcing work, they don't work for you. So you can't just pick up the phone and be like, hey, I need this done. Right. It is a lot different, but figure out what works for you and figure out if you hire someone in-house, do you realistically have time to set aside to put in them? I know I've hired people in the past and I shouldn't have because I didn't have enough time to train them, and that never works out well. So it's really big with that.
Yeah, that's very big. And hiring someone too early can actually create more work for you.
Oh, yes, so much.
And I know that you've walked through that. So
many
is there
times.
A specific example that you can share that kind of illustrates that?
It goes back to just the time and the commitment you have to put into somebody, especially when you're a small business. When it's you wearing all hats, right? You don't have other leaders within your company where you can say, go train them, go onboard them, go do it. So in the beginning, it was really hard for me because I'm already busy enough as it is with the day-to-day. I need to hire because we need the help, but I'm still the main leader. And now I have to also be the onboarder, trainer, hold them accountable. That takes so much. It's very, very overwhelming. So I always recommend when you hire somebody, make sure you set time aside to train them properly or they won't make it past 90 days because then you'll get frustrated because they're not doing what you want, but then you didn't set boundaries. You didn't set time to actually train them the way that you should.
And that all goes back to actually updating your processes.
Yes.
And making sure that everything is right there ready for them so that if they do have a question, you don't have to always answer it. You can point them to a specific spot or like in the drive or whatever it is, whatever you're using to be able to find the answer.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to get a full-time employee to like rotate and give them grace and time.
Right.
Like they're not somebody who already runs a business who has their processes down. Normally it's a newer position they're getting into that is going to take time to build. So you have to give people time to actually like show what they're capable of. You can't expect them to know it all and be great at that position the first 90 days. I would say it can take 6 months to a year before someone really gets in their role and they're starting to pay off for you.
Most definitely. So what are some of the things that you look for? Maybe some of the traits that you look for in a good hire?
Yeah, I think there's so many, it depends on the role, but I always say like, I'm the type, I know what type of leader I am, and I'm not a micromanager babysitter. So we always look for people who are self-disciplined because I don't have time to micromanage. We're not corporate at all.
So when you say self-disciplined though, but like what specifically are you looking for them to say? Like what are some triggers?
Examples. Like I'm looking for them to tell me about times where they worked on a project, how they got it done, how they organized their day to day. Do they have routines?
Okay.
I'm looking at a lot of times when I'm looking for people, I'm looking at, do they job hop a lot or do they stick with one thing and commit to it? That shows a lot of discipline when you stick somewhere and you sit. But I just ask them to really go through like what they enjoy about a job. Like, what is it you like doing the most? And if they're like, well, I like planning out my day and I'm very task oriented and I like checking things off. Or if they're like, I like picking up the phone and kind of like getting told like what is that person needs help with. I've had that before. They're like, I like being given a list every day. And I was like, not me, girl.
Yeah.
I was like, I cannot give you a list. She wanted to be told, here's your day to day. And that's okay. Like there's definitely bosses out there for her and assistants out there. I was like, that is not me. Like I'm not, you have to be very proactive and resourceful. And you may need somebody who may need a leader who is going to spend every day with them all the time, meet every single day. That's also not me. I expect people to get into the roles, get trained, and kind of figure things out and be self-sufficient. So you have to just ask questions to get to know somebody and you have other team members, get them involved in interviewing too.
Yeah. And start anticipating your next move.
Yeah. 100%. But outsourcing it can be so helpful for you guys if you're not ready to hire somebody full time. We've done it with Pinterest. I've done it with assistant work. We've done it with now social media. And we've done it with even contracting out work to help build out systems that we didn't have time to, just to save us time. And that's the biggest thing with outsourcing.
Two of our biggest partners with Refined are actually people that we met on just Refined's Instagram grew a relationship with them, a friendship with them over social media, and then started working with them just through kind of the friendship, I guess, if you will, because there was trust was built there. There was credibility built there. I knew that they were doing good work. They were delivering results for their other clients. They had great testimonials. And so it was a pretty natural decision for us to be working with who we work right now with for our copywriter. She's the copywriting mama.
For a while.
Exactly. But we had just built up a rapport, and I knew that I liked their working style. They had a vision. They had a mission. I liked who they were as people, and I could actually see us getting along. And that was huge for me because Refined is like my baby, and it's very difficult for me to relinquish control of certain areas of Refined. And I'm very glad that we did the due diligence that we did and spent a little bit more than we were wanting to spend originally up front to work with people who aligned with our business.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really huge. Personalities that you get along with and you both agree on how to do business.
Oh, yeah.
And even now, like, even though like Crew and Embry Group, they've got such a great lineup of employees, like they've got it down.
You really do.
But sometimes they get so overwhelmed and we've got a lot going on that we still contract out work very randomly to some people. Like if we need help to get by, especially marketing team, if we've got a lot of events going on and a lot of marketing projects, we may copy out. Like right now, we've done some copywriting emails and stuff just to help get by because we didn't have as much time to write that copy.
Right.
So you kind of use these connections and with these contractors, and when you find one you really like and stick to, they know that you'll come back, on occasion to keep contracting out work to them, and they love it and they kind of know. So just to wrap this up, a couple mindset shifts really to break down into like what to think about when you're trying to determine if you're going to hire or outsource is really thinking like a CEO. Don't think of this as a waste of money. Like I said, most time you hire someone good, whether that's full-time or to contract out work, you're going to get a return.
Yeah.
Your ROI on getting more help to give you help on social media,
free up my time,
and to be able to free up some more of her time. She can now work on more clients if she wanted to, or get clients done faster
and
if she wanted to.
Place the monetary value on your time.
Yes.
Add it up. Look at what that actually would cost for you to be able to, for me to be able to plan 8 hours of content. I know what that looks like. Okay. If I'm doing that every single week, then my time is so much more valuable placed elsewhere, and outsourcing to Harbor 26 to take this off my plate so that I do have that time freedom to be able to spend it elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%. So remember to think like that. And then the next thing is you have to really trust and delegate. Leaders and business owners,
this is the hard one. This is probably the hardest one.
Yeah, we don't like delegation, right? No. Because we're like, we can do it the best. Listen, you will always be able to do 100% of what you want, but you have to learn to delegate and trust others to get it done, or it's not going to get done. Like if she doesn't trust them to do social media, it's not going to get done because she's proven she doesn't have the time for it.
Exactly.
So it's like, are we going to get it done and make it happen? Or are we just not going to do it because we think only we can do it?
Well, right? It's also going to take time for that, whoever you're outsourcing to, or that in-house hire, to learn you, to learn what you like, to learn how you function, to learn how to communicate with you in a way that you receive best, and vice versa, you to them. So give them grace up front. That's why we do the 90-day rule, 3 months, and then we reevaluate, because you really do need that extra time built in before you're picking apart the entire process.
100%. And then the last thing to keep in mind is that cheaper doesn't equal the best value.
We learned that.
Yes, we've learned that several times. Sometimes putting more money into somebody who has maybe better quality of work or more experience will actually equal you a higher ROI. So don't just go with cheaper equals better. If you find someone who's at the cost you were expecting and you like them and they're great, that's awesome.
But most times you got to spend money to make money.
Yeah, most times you really do have to spend money to make money. So you can kind of figure out, let us know if you have any questions about hiring versus outsourcing, or if you need referrals for anyone if you're thinking about outsourcing. But yeah, I feel like either or, getting people to save you more time to where you can put time into other things ultimately is going to help you make more money as a business.
Most definitely. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe to us. Leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us a DM over on Instagram at Rise and Refine Podcast, or you can check us out over on Instagram at @refinemarketing_ for the brand and web design studio. We hope that y'all have a lovely week and happy Monday.
Have a great Monday.